spookiness coming up with Halloween, which is, of course, a big kids' holiday that, and adult, I guess, too, that we celebrate in the grand old US of A. To my European friends, drink one thing and one thing only. Meinl Kaffee. Erlesene Kaffee. Erlesene Kaffeebohnen. This was a nice little espresso, or as Americans call it, espresso. Anytime I hear someone say an X in espresso, I want to shoot myself. I really do. But anyway, I digress. Welcome one and all. What's happening? Good to see you guys. We've got a great show today. And it is all about record weights. Can you believe it? Yes, record weights. They come in all kinds of sizes and shapes. HRS, you guys know I'm a favorite of HRS, or HRS is a favorite of mine, I should say. I use their platforms, M3Xs. I use their SXR rack for my big Kuzma turntable. There's a stainless steel heavy one, HRS. This thing, I mean, you can kill someone with this thing. Then there is, of course, this is actually a very unique record weight. One that I will discuss in a separate episode. And it's an interesting concept. Yeah, I don't want to get too into it right now because the star of the show is something totally different, but this will come up in another video. The star of the show, of course, is none other than the great Rangel from Berlin in Germany. For those of you in Rio Linda in the 909 area code. Anyway, so Rangel or Rangel, however you guys would pronounce it in English, I pronounce it the German way, and his wife Maria, hence the name Ramar. Rangel and Maria, get it? Ramar, yep, there you go, you got it. They came onto the scene a couple of years ago, pretty much out of nowhere. Actually, it's probably been more than a couple of years ago. Out of nowhere with this thing. Gee, I wonder what it is. It is a special goat hair / carbon fiber brush. For records, of course. Comes with this gorgeously made wood case. It started off with wood. Now he's got exotic materials, metals, and all kinds of stuff. Polished metals, burnt metals, brushed metals. I mean, he's really expanded the assortment. But these, the first ones were the wood ones. And I immediately bought 2 of these. Immediately, right? I was like, dude, I've been using these stupid AudioQuest cheapy $20 record brushes. I want something that's got a little more pizzazz to it. I want something that's got a little more jam to it. And so I saw this and I was like, this is really, really cool. I mean, first of all, the construction quality, the craftsmanship is just astounding. Like I said, you've got 6 rows of carbon brushes, got 2 rows of brushes, and beautifully machined wood, beautifully machined metal. Each box is serialized. Yes, no joke, serialized. It is intended to be an heirloom item, one that you will give on to the next generation and so on and so forth. And the reason he did that is so he can keep track of each and every one of these that he sells and manufactures to know when it was made, etc. Service and support. I mean, I sincerely doubt you'll ever have to send this in for service. I mean, unless, your cat maybe or a bat fell off or, who knows what. But you also get this little trick brush for your stylus, a stylus cleaner. And guess what? So, of course, you have the Rangel with serial number in here. Nice. But then guess what? It's magnetic. Ooh. And the coolest part is, I know I've got the job done when I hear this satisfying clack of the magnets as this thing closes, right? I mean, it's awesome. I've been using it. I use it daily. Obviously, I've got one up here in Studio A. I've got another one in Studio B. And so, yeah, I bought these sight unseen, never touched them before. and they completely wowed me. And so naturally, when we were in touch, Rangel and I were in touch, I was like, hey, I'm working on something really super secret. Can't tell you anything about it. I'm like, yeah, shucks. But anyway, in due time, you'll find out what it's all about. And what it was, of course, is the absolutely, seriously, really cool looking Jewel record weight, record puck, whatever you want to call it, right? And, first of all, machined out of stainless steel. Even though it looks uneven, if you look at it from a profile view, from the front view, I think you'll see it better in the slow motion shots that I took. It is perfectly centered and perfectly balanced, so don't be afraid. Actually, one cool thing that these geometrically arranged rings of stainless steel do is it gives you a nice sort of area to grip and hold on, which has been one of my biggest pet peeves with record weights and pucks over the years, is that they kind of, I don't know. The only other record weight that I like touching like this is is the Kuzma record weight that I use. But anyway, and then of course on the inside you've got really cool. There's 8 brass stamp or posts that come out to connect to the record, right? Then there is a rubberized ring on the inside that really clamps the spindle tight and almost like creates a vacuum. It feels like it anyway when you put it on. And then of course there's this great sorbothane ring that Rangel worked on with sorbothane to create according to his specifications. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a really, really, it's called Jewel for really the reason that it feels like a jewel. It's heavy. It's about 400 grams, I think 390 or so odd grams. And, he's got the specs. The spindle, I think, has to be a minimum of 6 millimeter high, but no more than 18. You can check the specs and all the rest of the stuff on the website. I'll drop a link below, of course. But suffices to say that out of my 3 turntables that I have, the Kuzma, the Bergman that you see behind me, and the Einstein, it really only is compatible with the Einstein just because of the fact that the Kuzma has a screw-down spindle, or screw-down clamp, I should say. The Bergman uses a totally different sized spindle diameter because it has a vacuum seal built into the puck, or the puck rather completes the seal. And so, unfortunately, you can't use this. But on the Einstein, it works really, really well, right? I love using it. It's got that beautiful feel to it, nice weight to it. It's about, I want to say it's a little lighter than the HRS, which of course is also machined out of stainless steel. The HRS does have a nice sort of indentation for you to grab a hold of it. A favorite thing to happen when an amateur videographer, I guess pros, it happens to them too, I suppose, when they're rolling, the battery goes dead. Then you gotta switch the battery and, well, anyway, you guys know the drill. So, I was saying, I guess record weights have exploded in quantity, capacity, price points to the stratospherical. And, when you drill it down, basically, right, what is a record weight supposed to do? The idea behind a record weight or a puck is to couple the record to the platter as best as possible so that the record connects with the platter, presuming it's a flat record, right? And creates a nice bond. And so it's all about vibration absorption, vibration mitigation, and sucking up those vibrations that are in those grooves, affecting vinyl playback. Again, let's recap some of the loose numbers. It goes up to 1,000 G of force on the stylus tip. That's what the suspension has to contend with. Think about that, 1,000 Gs. When the space shuttle launches, it's about 9 Gs going into space. Formula One cars braking at anywhere from 2 to 4 to 5 Gs, and so on and so forth, right? So you can see that there's a lot of stuff that goes on from a vibration perspective that needs to be mitigated, absorbed, eliminated, ideally, dealt with, etc., to improve the fidelity of the playback so that the stylus only transmits the vibrations that are contained in the groove and nothing else. So no external vibrations to be added to the signal that then gets amplified and so on and so forth. And so over the years, obviously, vinyl playback's nothing new. People have come up with all sorts of solutions. You know, the screw down version, which is what Mike Kuzma uses, the Bergman with most of the time, though not always, you have an air bearing with a vacuum hold down, although of course there's turntables that just have a vacuum hold down. And so that completely flattens the record and sucks it down onto the platter. Particularly good for records that are not flat. And so the rest of it is basically a standard record weight, a puck similar to this, right? And so people have tried all kinds of different designs. People have tried all kinds of different formulas to make this work. And Ramar has settled on this, stainless steel. He calls it a 3-phased approach. And the first one obviously being, again, that elastomer that connects to the shaft and essentially provides a bit of a seal, right? Then you've got those 8 brass stamps that come out, brass plugs that come out individually, by the way. And that is, again, to make sure that in case you have an uneven label on the record, etc., if it's slightly warped, which of course all vinyl records, no vinyl record is perfect. And so I'm not surprised they did that. It's a very nice sort of detail. And then of course you got that sorbothane ring to finally couple the entire weight onto the record and so on and so forth. And I gotta say, he's done a really, really nice job. Now, of course, the $100,000 question that you guys are all waiting for and want to know. Danny, what does this thing sound like? Does it improve the sound? That's a tough one for me. I'll be perfectly honest. That's a tough one for me. To me, it sounds... Okay, when I put heavier pucks onto a record, I tended to get more, deeper bass, a bit of a more fundamental dynamic structure to the sound. Honestly, that's about what I hear, right? Does that mean causality-wise that, heavy puck equals heavy bass and all that? I have no idea, right? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. And, you further add upon that when you have a clamp or a record weight that is a screw-down clamp, so you can really tighten the record to the platter. And then, of course, you've got the vacuum hold down, which is a whole different category, not really pertinent to this discussion. But as far as I can tell, yeah, I mean, it does its job, right? It creates a nice bottom end. Is it quieter? I can't really tell. I mean, maybe. It's a beautiful record weight. I'll leave it at this. It's a beautiful record weight. It's made incredibly well. It's an heirloom device like the other Ramar product, his record brush. And it's just, it works. It does what it's supposed to do without any fuss, without any complication. In fact, I think the value add is you don't have to screw anything on or screw anything off. You just plug it down carefully, obviously, because it is heavy. And you go on and play. And by the way, I have to say, since we listen with our eyes oftentimes, when you look at this visually, and particularly in my case, I've got a nice spotlight that I can shine on the record and the clamp itself or the puck itself. And so at nighttime, you really, it's like this you see these geometric circles spinning around, creates a nice visual atmosphere too, right? And like I said, beautifully made, etc., etc. So that in and of itself is the review. I'm sticking to it. If you guys think you're gonna hear more, by all means, hear more. If you guys think it's all nonsense, by all means, think it's nonsense. I think it works. I think it does what it's supposed to do. It couples the record closer and tighter to the platter. I'd love to see some vibration analysis done with someone who's got the appropriate test equipment. If there's anything that you can actually see and measure, I would assume you can. And so, yeah, that's my story. I think it's pretty cool. Like any well-made, in small numbers, handmade product, it's not inexpensive. And so, don't go crazy on the comments. I'm never going to spend that kind of money, because there's always the version that you can get that you can afford. That's the whole benefit of having so many different choices to choose from. So with that, thanks for checking this out. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the flip side. Ciao.